Welcome back to Humanitarian Horizons. I am Christina DiArcangelo, and I am the host. Today marks an important milestone. We are celebrating the fact that we have recorded 50 episodes, 50 conversations, 50 opportunities for education and reflection, 50 moments centered on humanity, responsibility, and dialogue. Before anything else, I want to say sincerely thank you. Thank you to everyone who follows us, to all of my guests, and of course to my podcast team, my famous podcast team who is behind the scenes making sure that I do what I'm supposed to be doing on these podcasts. Because remember, guys, I was not a podcaster. I started my first season. I am Christina DiArcangelo. And the goal with that in the undertone was we are the same. That theme was intentional. It was rooted in a simple belief. Simple belief. No matter our differences, there are shared elements of humanity that connects us, that really connects us. And as I posed a question that continues to guide this platform, how can we move forward towards understanding if we could just merely look for what we have in common? That question became the foundation of every single conversation that we had on I Am Christina DiArcangelo. And I got to be honest, when I started that podcast, I was scared. Yes, Christina DiArcangelo was scared. Yes, I was already a global speaker at that time in my career, but I didn't think that people would find what I had to say to be relevant or interesting. And my other podcast team convinced me that no, you need to do this because there's things that you can talk to people about that other people don't have experience on. So I took a chance and I started that podcast. And I believe that season I recorded 96 episodes. 96 episodes. And then we decided it was time to move on. Time to move on to another chapter. So what we did was we moved forward to Humanitarian Horizons, Christina DiArcangelo Unveiled. It was an expanded space for examining humanitarian issues, public policy, ethics, and social responsibility. This podcast does not exist to essentialize things and topics. That's not why we do things here. We don't do things because we feel like, oh, if we talk about this, this is trending. We should get in the booth and talk about whatever that topic is. That's not how we roll at Humanitarian Horizons, Christina DiArcangelo Unveiled. What we do is our purpose is to inform, explore, and encourage thoughtful dialogue. Over the course of 50 episodes, Humanitarian Horizon has explored a wide range of humanitarian and social issues, including ethical considerations in clinical research, which discussed research conducted during the times of conflict in the Ukraine, systematic challenges with the justice system, where delays, inconsistencies, and the lack of transparency can deeply affect families, domestic violence and coercive control, examined through the survivor-centered and educational lenses, hospice, and the end-of-life care for incarcerated individuals, focusing on dignity and the humane treatment of prisoners who are going towards the end of their life, where they have been diagnosed with something where they need to be in hospice, mental health, trauma, and the need for an improved access to care, concerns raised about the probation and correctional systems, including issues discussed regarding Pennsylvania, public discourse and polarization, including how influential figures and commentary shape societal division or dialogue, environmental humanitarian crises, such as the California wildfires and their impact on the vulnerable communities, public allegations involving high-profile individuals discussed in the context of accountability, due process, media responsibility, and prison time, patient advocacy, elder abuse awareness, healthcare, ethics, women leadership, empowerment, women's health, and systematic inequality. These discussions were approached with care, balance, and respect for the legal and ethical boundaries that should be preserved. This platform has allowed me to speak thoughtfully and responsibly about personal advocacy experiences that were involving my family at one time or another. When discussing my mother's case, because I have spoken about my father in great detail in the first season, I am Christina DiArcangelo, regarding why I started Affinity Patient Advocacy. My father is usually always in the forefront of my mind because, as you all know, he left this earth in 2015. And since then, the person who I was in 2015, I don't even recognize that person to who I am today, 10 years later. But when discussing my mother's case, I focused on the alleged conduct, systematic processes, and the impact of delayed and unresolved accountability for families. I have been very careful, very careful to emphasize the importance of due process, transparency, and fairness, while acknowledging that unresolved matters can leave lasting emotional harm. Humanitarian Horizons does not determine guilt or innocence. Let me be clear. We do not come on this podcast to point fingers at people. The goal is to talk about issues and to help people understand what's going on out there, and maybe help them with something that is going on that they understand truly and might need some support on. What unites every topic we discuss is one guiding principle. Every person deserves dignity, fairness, equality, and a voice. Behind every system is a human being. Behind every policy is a lived experience. That platform exists to create a safe space for respectful conversation and reasonable awareness. I know I mentioned my podcast team in the beginning of the podcast today, but I really sincerely want to thank my podcast team. Your commitment to responsible storytelling, accuracy, and professionalism makes this platform possible. Thank you for always helping me and also ensuring that these conversations are handled with care and integrity in an ethical manner. To our listeners, thank you for engaging thoughtfully and respectfully. Your support and feedback continued listening are why we've reached this milestone. So because you listen to us and you follow, this is why we got where we got, the 50th milestone. As we look towards 2026, our commitment remains clear. We will continue to explore humanitarian challenges, healthcare reform, justice system accountability, environmental responsibility, mental health awareness, women's leadership and equity. We will do so with care, balance, and respect for the responsibilities that come along with public dialogue. The idea that launched this podcast still matters. We still are the same. When we start from a shared humanity, dialogue becomes possible. And when the dialogue exists, understanding grows. And when understanding grows, change can follow. Thank you. Thank you to our team. Thank you to our guests. Thank you to our listeners. 50 episodes is a milestone, but it's just the beginning, baby. I can't wait for 2026. As you notice, we even have our professional equipment now, which obviously really made my podcast team so excited. So I'm excited to come into 2026 and talk about all the various things that we need to discuss so that we can continue moving forward and helping people. Thank you for listening. Remember, I am Christina DiArcangelo. Goodbye for now.